All right, so this weekend I was off with some friends. I was actually working a um, summit, a leadership conference of sorts for a friend of mine, and we are all sitting around the fire one night. It was marvelous. There was like 10 of us having dinner around this fire. It was so beautiful. But one of the things that came up was this idea that I want to buy businesses. And one of the people in the group, or a couple of people in the group, were seasoned investors, and so I started talking to them. Most of their investing was in the real estate world, but they were talking about like investing in things. And so I asked them about lending into projects and how does that whole process work and all this stuff, and started talking about the fact that I want to buy businesses. And they said, "That's awesome, but what kind of business do you want to own?" Like, I don't really know. And so I came home and I started doing a deep dive to figure out what businesses I would want to own and decided I would make videos along the way. So here's my first video. My name is Miranda Wood. I want to buy businesses. I've wanted to own multiple businesses since I was a teenager, and I feel like now is the time to kind of pull it all to life. So the first one in alphabetical order is accounting firms. And so through my research, I found out that there are three different types of accounting firms. You have the CPAs, who are certified public accountants. And just a reminder, to be a CPA, you have to have like 150 credit hours of school, at least 30 credit hours of accounting, a year of understudy, and then pass the CPA exam. So many CPAs have a master's degree. They're highly educated people who help others with things like financial planning, and taxes, most specifically taxes. Then you have your tax preparation services, which either are tax preparers or enrolled agents, right? The education requirements are not as strict, but they must strictly work on taxes or tax returns. The only education element is that they must pass the IRS special enrollment exam within 2 years. They must also pass the IRS suitability check for compliance and a background check. Alrighty, and then your third one tends to be more payroll services, bookkeeping, not necessarily doing a lot of tax returns. And so it was just really cool to see that there were three different pieces to this industry, right? And then in that, the next thing to really look at are the trends of the industry. So, what are some things that are happening for the accountant world right now? Well, I don't know if you know, but technology is a big deal right now. Everyone's looking into AI, and for the tax world specifically, tax laws change so rapidly right now, and it's ever changing, so there's always things to learn. But a lot of CPAs specifically, they're shifting more to a subscription model where like their clients will pay a monthly fee. I feel like any business that can turn their product or service into a subscription are doing it because it gives them more of a predictable income month in and month out, rather than the first 4 months of the year. Um, Also, another neat fact is CPAs is considered an aging demographic. There are more people as CPAs that are at or past retirement than there are new CPAs coming into the field. And so it's going to be neat to see how that affects the industry and, our economy and things of that nature in the future. And the last piece that I thought was significant to note is that there's moderate competition, but the labor costs in this field are really high because it's a lot of people working on those tax returns. I have a feeling, though, AI will fix that a little bit in the future. So, here are some questions that you might want to ask, or some things you might want to think about before you buy one of these types of companies. So, for the accounting world specifically, there's a very strict calendar that they go by. Businesses have the first 30 days to send out W-2s to and tax documents to the right people. So then, really, January 1, February 1 is the start of that tax season, and the deadline is April 15th. And if you know a tax professional, you know the first 4 months of the year, they are swamped just trying to get it all in before their deadline. And so, with that said, one of the biggest things to think about if you're looking at buying one of these companies is when does the seller want it out? What do they want? What's the timing? You don't want to buy a business that you don't know anything about on March 15th, a month before the deadline, and not have the seller on board to help you. Now, there are some perks in buying it on March 15th if you have the right terms, and then you really step beside that owner and walk with them for the next 30 days and see all of the different things that are happening so that you can make sure you can do a good job the following year or for previous or for future clients. The other piece is you've got to make sure that you feel confident on the technology that they use. I can tell you right now, QuickBooks is not my friend. Is it yours? If it is, an accounting business might be perfect. But look at what technology tools that they use every single day. The third piece is their marketing mix. How are they getting new clients? Are they actively getting new clients? Or are all of the clients that they have an aging boomer type situation who may no longer need your services in the next 5, 10, 20 years? Those are some things to think about. There's also opportunity there. All right. Even though these are tax professionals, doesn't necessarily mean that all their financial documents are in place. You've got to make sure you double check. I would even say triple check all of the financial documents, just like it were any other business. And then the last piece to really think about is the revenue mix, client demographics, and client needs. So, revenue mix, how much of your revenue comes from a small group of clients, like one, two, three to five, clients there? Because if you're making $1 million, but you make 700,000 from one client, and they go away, your business is very, very different. But if you make $1 million with 150,000 people as clients, well, I think that's pretty good. I don't know how all those numbers look, but the biggest thing is just to make sure that whatever you're buying, you don't have one client who might leave once they realize that the owner that they've been working with this whole time has sold their business. Client demographics. I already touched on this briefly. How many clients, what type of businesses do they have? You know, how much of the owner's time do they expect to get? So there's a lot there looking at the clients, looking at their financial mix and technology. Now the fun part, basic valuation details. All right, so these three types of businesses are so vastly different, and there's such a big difference in small and large firms of these three types of companies. So, just going to give you a couple of things to think about with valuation. Okay. Um, it's been hard to pinpoint exact numbers and things because depending on what source you use, that data can change. Okay, so what I did find is these businesses may sell between 100 and 135% of revenue plus the cost of inventory, or 2 to 4 times SDE, or 2 to 6 times EBITDA, right? And so it really just depends on the practice, the location, the number of existing clients or contracts, the number of repeat clients, profit and revenue numbers, size and age of the firm, team and culture. Are the staff staying? Are they going? What are the terms that you can negotiate? And the biggest two is location and profitability. If you're looking at buying a solopreneur company who works from home, you're going to have much smaller valuation numbers than if you buy a major 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 a big size company that does millions and millions a year. And so yet again, Location changes that too. The same size company in Coweta County may not make as much as the same size company in downtown Atlanta. So lots of things to think about there as you explore the valuation. But you know, the valuations can be there. It can vary. It just comes down to what you can negotiate. Financing options are also there. Some of these deals you can get SBA loans. You can get private loans from the bank, seller note, other creative financing options. It's not unheard of to have seller financing or the seller financing some portion of the sale. It just kind of depends on the size and profitability of the firm that you are looking at. So, my last piece is I have about 12 pieces that I analyze every business for. Let me show you my screen. Alrighty, so audience with money. These businesses very much have audience with money. Even the low income individuals who need tax preparation, that money a lot of times comes out of their tax return, which gives them the money to pay for your services. So, absolutely, there's an audience with money. Depending on how you run and the values you operate from, there's a strong chance to have strong client retention. So that one's a really good one. Medium to low competition, that's not really there. It does depend on what area you're in. I would say that there's a lot of competition inside the accounting world. Even if you just look at the fact that there are three different types of preparers or companies inside that space. So that one, medium to high, not medium to low competition. Is their clientele easy to target? Absolutely. If you're dealing with business owners, entrepreneurs tend to get together quite often and they're proud of the fact that they own businesses. For your lower income people, it's still pretty easy to target them as well. Just depends on your messaging and your marketing. Can we make it contractual? Okay. For the lower income folks that need tax preparation, probably not. But the higher end clientele would probably love a contractual agreement where they don't have to worry about how much they have to pay every time they call in and they just have a flat fee and you help them all year long. I mean, I know personally, I would love a setup like that. Does it fall into one of the three categories? Financial, health, or relationship? Absolutely. This is financial. You're dealing with people's taxes. Is there a pain, a need? Is this something that in a recession people would still need to use? The answer is absolutely. No matter how broke or how poor we are, no matter how broke or how poor we all need to do our taxes. So it's definitely a need. Can I sell or franchise it? That just depends on the situation. I would think most of these you would be able to resell or franchise later down the road. Okay. Is it stale, boring, or old? I would think the accounting space is definitely stale, boring, and old. And so what that means is you have the ability to go in and shake it up a little bit. With AI, I expect that the industry will be shaken up a little bit anyways. So it's a great time to jump in to this business and see how you can make it into something even greater than it already was. It said simple and proven. Absolutely. I don't know how long people have been doing taxes, but it's definitely been longer than I've been alive. So it's definitely a well-proven industry. And simple can be hit or miss in the viewer's eyes. Some people might see it as a really simple setup, while others could see it as a very challenging thing to do. So that one's yes or no. Cannot be a dying industry. It must be growing. Now, I don't know if the industry is growing, but I do know it's not dying. Um, People are still going to have to do their taxes. Last one is low level of entry or specialization. Okay, so to be a CPA, there is not really a low level of entry. There's incredible amount of schoolwork that you have to do to be a CPA. I know personally, I have my master's in business, and I have my undergrad in psychology, and I didn't take enough accounting courses. But if I wanted to be a CPA, I could probably go take a year or two of classes and then go pass the test and do a understudy. It would still probably take me 2 to 4 years. So I would not say that that's a low level of entry. But the other two companies, the registered agent and the bookkeeping, those are definitely very low level of entry. So it just kind of depends on which way you want to go on that and which particular type of business you're looking at. But overall, I think these are great businesses. And if I could buy them, like if there's no rules about buying, a CPA firm, if you're not a CPA, I would probably buy any of these. I think they would be fun to run, and just really helping people. So I think they're a great business to look into. And if there's anything I can do for you or any questions that you may have, please drop something in the comments. I would love to help and connect. Have a good one. Bye.